Hello, good morning, ladies and gentlemen. As you can see on my screen, we will be looking at, a very basic, applying basic selects in SQL, standard or structured query language. Okay, SQL. So look at how to just apply some basic selects. So looking at this question, so this is actually HackerRank. So looking at this question, you can see that the question says, given the city and country tables, query the sum of the populations of all cities where the continent is Asia. Note, city.country code and country.code are matching key volumes. So what was this question trying or asking us to do? What information are we being given here? We're being told that we have two tables. As we can see, we've got a table entitled city. We've got another table entitled country. And these are the column names. So these fields here are column names. So in the city table, we've got columns entitled ID, which should be city ID, city name, country code, district, and then population of the city. And in this other country table, we have got another table that gives us information on countries. So country code, name of country, the continent where the country is found, the region, the surface area of the country, blah, 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 blah. If you come down, you see population. This population here is the population of the country, which is different from the population of the city. Obviously, population of the country will be much larger than the population of maybe an individual city, right? That makes sense. That's something I wanted to point out. So for you to understand how the structure of this table, you just flip it, flip it, flip it 90 degrees, and then you understand that these are actually the column names. Okay. And this is just the schema. This tells us the schema, which is the structure, the nature, the characteristics of the table, that's the schema. So for the ID, the IDs are numbers. The names, it's written VACA was essentially those are strings, right? Or alphabets, like words. Population is a number, obviously. Yeah, usually to be an integer or whatever. So let's get to the question. So that's a very, very basic breakdown. So it says, given the city and country tables, query the sum of populations. So when it says query, okay, extracts. That's essentially what the word query means. Extract, determine, provide, okay? Provide the sum, give us the sum. So that's what query means. And usually when we come to query, we use the select. Just put down your select. So when it says select the sum, you use the sum function of the populations of the cities. You can see why we had to differentiate population of cities from population of countries. That was, it's reasonable to have done that, isn't it? Does that make sense? So the sum of population of the cities. So population of cities is sum of population. So one city. So we can, we'll come back to that, population of the cities. I will say from, well, let me use the from capital, even though it will still work if I leave it in small letter. From, as we want the sum of population from this table, from the city table, from city, you can say as C, okay? From city as C, where continent is Asia. From city as C, let's write this in full in the conventional way, just so it's clear. Where continents so for me to Let me just continue. Where continent is Asia? Continent, let's just continue. Where continent equals Asia. Okay, we'll put this in quotation. Where continent equals Asia. Usually we want to write it exactly the way it's been presented. You know, the A is in capital letter, the rest are in small letters or in lowercase. So let's just put it that way. Okay, Asia. Because it's in quotation. So if you're quoting something, it has to be exact. If we run this would not be correct. This will be incorrect because there are certain things we haven't done. Why would this not be correct? Let's look at this. We have population in both the city and country tables. So if we run this, the computer system would be confused and say, yeah, is it population of cities or population of country? Which population are we trying to get the sum or the total of? That's number one confusion. Number two confusion is we've said select sum of population. Let's assume we've corrected from city as C. Let's assume we've put C dot population to show that we want the population from the city table. So let's assume we've corrected for that and we've done this. I'll say select sum of population of city population from the city table, which we've aliased, you can, as C. Another way of doing that is just, removing the R's. But I usually like using the R's because somehow it makes it flow. It makes it sound more like a logical English statement, isn't it? So I always like using the R statement, which you can still put in capital letter. It's the same thing from city as C, right? Where continent is equals to Asia, but we can see that the continent is not in the city table. So we've involved another table. That's what it means. From this beginning to this point, we involved only the city table because the reason we did that, we made sure we put C there to show that the population we're talking about is population that is found within the city table. So from the beginning to this point, we're all talking about the city table. But then we've said where continent is Asia. We can see that the continent column is found within the country table. We haven't joined the country table. We have two different tables. We want to join these two tables now. Okay, so we have ID, name, country code, district, population. We want it to continue. Country code, country name, continent. We want to join these two tables into one table such that we can do anything. We can select any column from this larger table we want to create. We can create conditions, which is what this is a condition where, okay, it's a conditional clause where continent equals Asia. So what we're going to do, let's join. Usually I just do inner join because I find that inner join just works most times. There are other forms of join, outer join, full join, left join, right join. Most times I find that inner join, just does the trick, inner join. So let's write inner join city. Or let's, inner join, let's join country to city. Inner join country as, let's say, as CN. You can say CN, city, whatever, CN. Inner join country as CN on, so we want to join this country table on, or join it to city on a basis, so people will tell you on the basis of, but usually the way I understand this is join country as CN, join country on city. Well, doesn't really make sense, isn't it? You should be join to, but join country, that's where I understand it, okay? Because knowledge is all about the way you as an individual understands something, all right? So join country as CN on city. So join country as CN on So let's say city dots. So let's join it on this. We've already been told that if you come up here, we've already been told that the country codes are the same thing. So when you come to the city table, you have country code. So C dots country code is the same as here. We said country CN, same as CN dots code. We come so country code is the same as country code here, right? CN dot code. So inner join country as CN on city. That's exactly what I've done. I've joined the country table to the city table. Okay, I've joined the country table to the city table using these common rows. I've linked them. Okay, so we've got the city table, we've got the country table. They have country code and code, country code, common rows, or common columns rather, common columns, country code, right? Is there any other common column? Population here and population here, we've seen that are different. This is country population, this is city population. So this is name and name, but they're different. This is city name and this is country name. So they're not identical, but country code and country code are identical. So you want to link, use this identical or common columns to link the two tables. That's what we've done here. We've linked them, joined them. Inner join country as CN. I bet if we remove this inner and just leave join alone, it will still run. And probably if we just do left join, it will still run. But let's leave it as inner join. And let's run this code and see what comes up. Is this how we met? Yeah. So it says, congratulations, you have passed the sample test case. Okay. Now let's see what would have happened if we hadn't made adjustments for some of the adjustments we did. Okay, let's try left join. Let's put left join. Let's put left there and see whether it runs. So left join also works. You can see we've changed the join to left join. And let's remove it and let's just put join and still run that. Let's just put join and still run that. You can see it still runs with just join. Now let's put right join and see what happens. I have a feeling right join, yeah, it still runs. So right, so you see when it comes to using the join clause, most times I just settle with inner join, you know. And what inner join essentially means is, you get me those columns that intersect between the two tables, those common columns between the two tables, you know. But to be honest, in actual practice, I've really tried to use pictures to really understand that. But sometimes I just settle with inner join, and if inner join doesn't work, then sometimes I tend to test left join. If left join doesn't work, then I try right join. Okay, but most times I find that inner join just does the join for me, to be honest. So this is essentially what it means. Now let's see if we hadn't put this C here, what would have happened? Let's assume we just select the sum of population from city, inner join country. Let's assume we hadn't specified. It didn't give us anything. Okay. So this is my SQL. Let's copy this and paste it on my SQL. And run that. Usually to give us an explanation as to why what we've done is wrong. Good. Error, blah, 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 at line 1. Okay, so this is 1. You can see number 1 there. Line 1, it tells us there's an error in line 1. The column population is ambiguous. What does ambiguous mean? Ambiguous means it's not clear. So this column population is ambiguous. And the reason why it is ambiguous is because we have population in city, we have population in country. So we've not yet defined which population are we talking about. So we're gonna say, because we've earlier city, we said city is C, so we're gonna put C there. C dots. Okay, and we're going to try something else after this. So we'll run this, and this is going to give us our answer. Okay, beautiful. That's what we did initially. Now we said from city as C. If we come back here and write city, let's run that and see what happens. It gives us an error. Unknown column, city dot population in the field lists. Now, why? Someone might say, well, city and C are the same thing. From city, also known as AKA C. If I say from Emmanuel, that's my name, from Emmanuel, and then Eze is also my name, and I say from Emmanuel as Eze, and then, you know, if you use mathematical logic, someone will say, oh yeah, city and C are the same thing. So if I say C dot population, it should give me the same output or result as when I say city dot population. But in SQL, once you've aliased something, you need to start using the alias. So if you don't want to do this, you can leave this as a sum of city dot population. Okay, you can say from city, no alias, inner join country as CN on. Now you come here and say city dot country equals to this where continent. Let's run this and see without aliasing the city. Give us the answer, okay? Because we have not aliased, we didn't give city another name. So we had to use city there, and we also had to use city there. So that also gives us a good answer. But usually, because city is a short word, if city were to be a long word, so that made sense to stick to an alias. Okay, city C, then you have to use the alias when you do that. Yeah, so we've come to the end of this basic join, very basic select and very basic join in SQL. If you really found it, entertaining and exciting, to be able to understand, why we do things and what will happen if you did things differently. It's always good to find out what will happen if I did things differently. What will be the outcome? If you think this was very helpful, please smash the like button. Try to encourage me, okay? So I can do more of this kind of videos. Your likes, your comments, your subscriptions go a long way, in planting the seed of motivation, and I'm being honest about that. It plants seed of motivation. People want to do more, more useful videos. And I really appreciate you for stopping by to watch, to listen, and to engage. Thank you very much.